Do that again.
Oh my god.
When you feel it's hopeless, when you think that you lost, oh, I will take your hand and we'll rise up from the dust. Oh, here we go, 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 let us heal and grow. You won't be alone, we're unstoppable. Don't be afraid to show what we're going for. This is what we know. Here we come back to life, we're still breathing. Standing up, everybody's gonna see it. Oh, even if we fall, we will rise up.
What's up, you guys?
Hi.
What's up, you guys?
Hi.
Welcome to another episode of Our Blended Life. As you can see, we got our hashtag, Our Blended Life, and you can find us on Instagram at Our Blended Life 777.
Go follow.
Go follow us over there. Also, if you guys could, hit that subscribe button down below. It helps the channel a lot. Go ahead.
And hit that bell.
And hit that bell, and hit that bell. And once we hit 100 subscribers, we're going to be doing a giveaway. We're going to give away $100 to you guys. So
What?
make sure to hit that bell because the giveaway is going to be in one of the videos. So you're going to want to be notified when that video comes out. So make sure to subscribe, hit that bell, and you guys will be in the winning drawing for the $100. So, and comment and share this video if you guys think there's somebody out there that could benefit from this. So, with that being said, let's jump into today's topic. What's today's topic?
Today's topic is a little bit about us and our family, our blended family, kind of even us growing up and some of the stuff we've been through, struggles, ups, downs, blessings, all of it.
And with that said, let's jump right into this week's episode. This week we're going to talk about kind of what led up to our divorce and then life after divorce. One thing is we don't like to refer to her kids and my kids. We refer to them as our kids. And that's very important for us at our house. The kids definitely, we've noticed a change. They definitely can feel more of a family unit
More as one.
More as one
Yeah.
when we say our kids. I know some people don't agree with that completely, but that's kind of what we do here, and the kids seem to really benefit from it.
Oh yeah.
So when we refer to like Jaden and Stella, we're referring to
The kids that I had with my ex previously in my first marriage.
And when we refer to Paisley and Tyler, we're going to be talking about the kids that I had in my previous marriage. And then we have Preston
And
Wesley that's coming in a couple weeks.
2 weeks.
Those are our two together that kind of
Blended
really
us.
Yeah, really blended us and brought us all together even closer.
Oh yeah, and I feel like even with the kids too, you can tell a huge difference with them.
Oh yeah. Okay, so
Let's get on our topics.
let's get into it.
So we're kind of going to start a little bit of how we were brought up and everything and what we kind of went through leading us into our first marriages, through them, out of them, and together. In between that and together. So, I'll start it?
Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of home were you raised in?
I was raised in a
Honey bunches of oats.
I was raised in a home that my parents were together. No divorce was involved. Very loving. My dad was gone a lot, so that's something that I feel like I've kind of brought into my life as an adult. As you know, I'm gone a lot truck driving, so.
Oh, that would be a good thing to kind of mention. What do we do? We don't just, I stay at home, but I have to take care of all the kids.
Yeah.
And I love that. But I also have a station at home, and I am a licensed cosmetologist. And I love what I do.
Yes, she does, and she is good. But yeah, I'm a truck driver, so I'm gone a lot, just like my dad was gone a lot, and I think I was really raised in a loving home, and my parents were always there, and I always felt that love from my parents, and it's something that I've always wanted to give to my kids.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how about you?
I would say for me it's kind of almost the same, but opposite, way opposite. So
Explain.
I grew up with my biological mom and dad, of course, and then my dad ended up passing away when I was 6 years old, and probably like a year after or so, my mom remarried and she met my stepdad, and he's been like my dad since then, so that's been really cool. So I kind of grew up in that stepdaughter dynamic aspect, so I can kind of get where the kids are coming from, but at the same time, I don't know, it brought on, I think, a lot more hardships later on in life than it did at the beginning, because I was so young.
So you kind of got brought up into like the blended family,
Yeah.
but not the full blended family because your biological dad wasn't there.
Yeah, and then my stepdad actually had five kids with his first wife. So I did grow up with step siblings as well, and I was actually probably the closest one to them out of all of them. And I was raised with my stepbrother for a few years too. He was about a year and a half, 2 years older than me. Yeah. So kind of grew up with that too.
Well, and that kind of leads us into like how many siblings did you have growing up, and do you wish that you had more or less? Or
I had a total of 4. So I have a half sister, a brother, and 2 other sisters. And I feel like I wouldn't want more or less. I definitely feel blessed with the ones that I have. I think so much more I would want them to be closer in age with me, because I was the baby. I was a whoops. A whoops. Yep. But since being the baby, I mean, it's helped me be able to learn how to kind of raise kids, because I helped them raise their kids. We had so much of like an age gap. But other than that, I like it. Maybe just age closer. That's it. And yourself?
Yeah, so I have one sister. I know my parents had talked about when I was younger maybe having another child, and they decided not to. Do I wish I would have maybe had more siblings? Maybe. I really love the idea of a big family and having a big family at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and just enjoying that time together, and just being surrounded by family is just so fun and warming, and it just makes you feel good. And that's why I love the fact that we're having like so many kids, and a lot of people are like, man, you guys need to stop. Oh my gosh, you guys have 6 kids. But I look at it long term, like when we're older and the kids are older and we have Thanksgiving and Christmas, we're going to have a lot more people to be around and kids and just be surrounded by their love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So next, do you think how you were raised kind of affected like your first marriage or any of your relationships growing up?
That's a good question. Do I think the way I was raised affected? In a way, I feel like it did, because I feel like I'm always having to please my parents. And so I feel like a lot of times I don't know, I feel like it was some of the issues like even we had when we first, like at the beginning is I feel like I'm always having to, not even just my parents, just please people in general, just because the way I was brought up and raised. that's how it was. Like, I always wanted to
make everybody else
make
happy.
make my parents happy. I wanted them to be proud of me. I wanted them to like just be like accept me and like be so proud of what I was doing that I wanted to see them happy. And I felt like that carried over into my adult life to where I just wanted to see them happy. I wanted to see everyone else happy, but it never came through as like what I wanted to be like,
or what made
me
really
happy.
Yeah.
Or like what I wanted to do. And I feel like I carried that over into the relationship in a way. Like, I felt like a lot of times too, like I was wanting to make my ex happy and I wasn't getting anything in return. It was like a one-way street, but I felt like I needed to do that because that's how I was raised or grown up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what about you?
I think for me, I think it affected me wise to be so dependent upon my ex. I think more so I just wanted to, I don't know, it's kind of hard because when I was a little bit of like how I was raised, I don't know if did I even talk about it? About how I was raised or how I thought? My parents were busy a lot. My stepdad worked at a golf course as a superintendent to maintain, and my mom was going to school full time and also working, so she was gone from morning to night, super late. So a lot of the times I feel like I was kind of almost, I would either stay with my siblings or by myself and friends. And I think more so a lot of the times that's what kept me like busy was my hobbies and everything in school. But I think that made me more dependent upon like everybody else who I was around. So that kind of led into my marriage, my first marriage. And that is what made me feel like I kind of had to stay almost through it because I didn't feel like anybody else would be there. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, and that kind of leads us into the next topic of what made you feel like you needed to stay in the relationship. And I think you were touching base on that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think that has to do a lot with the dependency part. I think being fearful of going out on my own and finding out that I can actually do a lot on my own. Yeah. And so I feel like during a little bit of the middle of my first marriage, I really figured out how like I was able to do stuff on my own. I got my own car, I got a job, you know what I mean? Like I was able to.
But during all this, were you still kind of dependent on your parents?
Oh yeah, very much so. Because I feel like my ex, I don't know, it was hard. We were both very like independent, but I'm gonna be honest, like very selfish too. Yeah. So we wanted like all that materialistic stuff, and I guess you can say almost put on a front to make everything seem like it was okay when it really wasn't. But definitely got two great blessings out of that. And I think another thing for me was the pressure. I think pressure from everybody thinking that our marriage was something that it wasn't. From friends, from family, and I think a major part for me was mostly for the kids. I didn't want them to think, oh, like anything bad, or my mom left my dad, or anything like that, or... So
you feel like you kind of stayed in the relationship because you didn't want to come across as like a failure to everybody because everyone thought everything was fine, things were going good. Yeah. You know, you were raised obviously in a Christian home. Yes. So they believed, you know, you should never be divorced. Yeah. So like you didn't want to let people down. You didn't want to become like a failure in
So almost kind of like what you said, I feel like I'm somewhat of a people pleaser too. I guess I just don't like to be judged. But I mean, I worked on that. It is what it is now. Yeah. But I think that's the most part. Up
on our channel, there's another video that you made when you first started the channel of boundaries. Oh yeah, and
that's something I've struggled with a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's what you were kind of touching base on was kind of like the boundaries you had to set moving forward. But there is a video on the channel that she made when she first started episode. I'll link that up above for you guys, so you guys can check that out if you want to take a look at that. But yeah, sorry to get off topic. You were talking about boundaries, and I'm like, hey, you got a video on that. So, but yeah, you felt like you needed to please everyone in a way, kind of like I had to. And
I think more so too, because I feel like I didn't really let people know what was going on in our relationship. A lot went on that I did not talk to anybody about. Never went to therapy. Didn't really talk to anybody about it. I tend to hold stuff in when I shouldn't, and now I don't feel like, which is good, but I feel like I was holding a lot back, and that's what kind of just made me feel like I had to stay.
Yeah.
And then I call a miracle friend. One of my close friends of mine was going to school, and she just kind of gave me a few books to kind of go off of and read, and I don't know, kind of just get more insight of what I was having to like go through and deal with. So yeah, that's what I feel like kind of made me realize like I needed to do something instead of going through the same cycle, I guess you can say.
Do something about the bad situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that kind of made me reflect into like really getting into what I needed to do for myself and my relationship with God too. So it kind of pushed me into going back to church and everything.
Well, that brings up a good point, because when you were going through your separation, did you go through like a dark point in your life? Like, were you really down? Were you emotional? Were you depressed? What, I mean,
honestly, I was depressed. I felt like a failure. I felt very down in the dumps. So it kind of led me to, even like before, like we were talking about, like kind of how you were raised. I feel like I had to strive for attention, and literally any attention I could get would be like, oh my gosh, cloud 9 for 2 seconds, and then it's like, okay, I'm pulling myself back down into like a dark area. Mm-hmm. So I definitely didn't benefit, and I did stuff that I feel like nobody should have to go through, but lesson learned.
But it brought you to a point where it led you to church, because you were doing hair, and one of your regular clients came in, and he kept pulling you to come to church. He
wasn't and I don't really care for people who push church on everybody else. So he was very like calm, nonchalant about it. Mm-hmm. Very like, hey, well, when you're ready, you let me know that morning. But I was like, throw your makeup in the car, girlfriend, and get your butt to church.
Do you feel like that was a turning point for you?
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I would definitely say I'm pretty similar in what kept me in my relationship. Was I didn't want to come across as a failure, and when you're told a lot of certain things through a marriage, mm-hmm. Your mindset gets caught up in,
you kind of believe it.
You start believing certain things, and it really makes it hard to pull out of that. And like you, I didn't want to feel like a failure and come across as like, oh, he got divorced, like that's it, like he's a failure. Mm-hmm. Like, and then it was back in my mind too, we had kids, so I wanted to stay in the relationship because of the kids. Yeah. And
at the end of the day, you don't want it to make it feel like it's the kid's fault for everything, because it's not.
Right. And I would think I was scared too to have to try and find somebody new and bring the kids around that person. To
be able to trust, first off. Yeah. And to just find somebody who would love them as much as you do. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
that was definitely a scary thing for me, because I felt like, well, if I just stay with their mom, then...
I mean, it's their mom or their dad. Yeah.
Yeah. But at some point in time, a relationship can get toxic, and it's actually worse for the kids than it is beneficial. And at some point in time, you got to just realize, you know what, separating is just better. It's better for the kids. Mm-hmm. It's better for their overall well-being, and you got to do what's best for the kids sometimes. Yeah. So yeah, with that being said, were you looking for anyone after your relationship?
No.
No?
No.
Please explain.
Please explain. I think from having kids at a young age, you kind of want to go and do what you weren't able to do, because we both had kids right out of high school, basically. And I think for that aspect, I just wanted to see what life was like, and life bit my butt. Literally. it bit my little dish.
Sorry, I've been fighting this cold.
So I think life smacking me in the face kind of woke me up a little bit and made me realize, no, I didn't want to date or seek to meet anybody and be serious with. I just wanted to live life, and that was horrible. I did it the wrong way. I definitely would have done things differently and figured myself out, my relationship with God more, and to do better for the kids in general.
But I mean, you went through that dark time and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But it led you to the light. So even though you went through the dark, you still came out through the light.
Yeah.
God still found you.
At my very darkest point.
At your very darkest point. Right when God knows when to come in.
and he scooped me up and brought me to the light.
Yeah. Which is crazy, because we had a lot of similarities.
Yes.
Going through what we went through.
Oh yeah. What would you say for you? Were you looking for someone?
No. You messaged me.
Which leads into, how did we meet?
Yes, it does lead into that. But let me was I looking for somebody? No. I was in very serious relationships starting freshman year in high school, leading all the way up until my separation.
Wow.
So I was in a serious relationships probably 8, 9, 10 years, and all through like 18, 19, no, really, how old are you when you're a freshman, like 14, 15?
Yeah, I think so.
Up
13.
until 2017,
2016,
somewhere in there. So that was a good 10 years of just constantly being in a relationship. I never had the opportunity to go out, try and figure out who I am, what kind of person I'm looking for, nothing like that.
Responsible dad right after.
Yeah, I was 19 when I had Paisley.
I barely turned 20 when I had Jaden.
Yeah, so I was a young dad. So when I left out of that relationship, I really was not looking for somebody. And I think it's important too to take time when you're coming out of a marriage, take time for yourself and for your kids.
Yeah, to better yourself for the kids.
Yeah. And you gotta be there for the kids too, because you're not the only one going through it, they're going through it too, and you gotta keep that in mind.
Because they probably have more questions than we have all the truth.
Yeah.
and they probably have a bunch of questions.
Definitely. Yeah. And when you're fighting back and forth, the kids feel that, and they're in a new atmosphere because now they're split between homes.
Yeah.
And their security blanket is gone. Mm-hmm. It's like they have no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
And so you got to be that comfort for them. You got to be there for them, and just really shed the light when there might not be any for them.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of hard too, even for us, because literally when you go through the divorce, you're just or the separation at the beginning, it's a dark place.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. So you have all that pressure on you. You're going through all your emotions. Did I do the right thing? Did I not do the right thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then having to deal with taking care of making sure the kids are okay on top of that.
Yeah.
So definitely I feel like I went through a little rough spot, but when I got pulled out, started going to church, definitely beneficial and brought that light for me.
Which is crazy because when I came out of my marriage, I started going to church. And so we both found the Lord coming out of our marriages.
Yeah.
I mean, you were raised in a godly home. Your stepdad was a pastor.
Yeah.
And I went to church off and on. And it was kind of for me. It wasn't a must go.
Yeah.
For you, it was a must go.
Must go and also having that PK kid, you have to be at church. It's more the pressure. I think that overwhelmed me with it, and not finding like that home for myself to be able to relate with God was just not there.
Yeah. And it's crazy because, like I had mentioned before, is we both found churches when we came out of our marriages, and it's crazy because we actually crossed paths in a church and had no idea. We were going to the same church for what, a few weeks?
Yeah, I sat on the left side, he sat
on
the
right
right side.
Had no idea we were going to the same church. And kind of leads me into how we met.
Yeah, so how did we meet? Because he likes to take credit for this one.
Facebook. I added her on Facebook. Did not message her.
Which was weird.
Which was weird for her because a lot of the guys were befriending you and then messaging you, wanting to go out for drinks, blah, blah, blah. The whole spiel. I added her. I was like, all right. And then moved on with my day.
Another friend.
I'm not kidding. Probably 2-3 hours later, I get a message.
And I just was thrown off. So I was like, who are you? What do you want? Do I know you? I think that's what I asked you, huh?
Yeah.
I was like, do I know you?
Yeah, do I know you? And we knew of each other because we had mutual friends. My sister played softball.
I played softball.
You played softball. And we were constantly crossing paths at the softball field.
We didn't even know it.
And we had no idea. But we did know of each other because we had mutual friends.
Yes.
So it kind of got the conversation going because we had some stuff in common. And then come to find out we had even more in common because we were literally going through the same exact stuff at the same exact time. I mean, we got divorced, within weeks of each other?
Like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they're both finalized.
Yeah, that's super crazy.
So, with that said, what struggles from us becoming, I guess you can say, our blended family after we made things more serious, introduced the kids and everything, what struggles do you think we kind of dealt with at the beginning of our relationship and becoming that blended family?
I think the biggest thing was definitely different parenting styles.
I was gonna say that.
We definitely had different parenting styles.
Oh yeah, but I think that kind of goes back into how we were raised.
Yeah.
We were both raised way differently. So I'm actually the tough cookie.
You were.
I was, yeah.
Now you're going to be the softie. But kind of explain, like, I think that really goes back to how you were raised.
Yeah.
In one of our first questions. Like, how was your parenting style? And, how was it different from mine?
I think more so for me, I struggled because I feel like I had to do a lot growing up by myself. So it made me feel like, okay, if I can do it, then, or if I did it at such a young age, if the kids can do it, why not start making them do it? Or it's like, be grateful. I think that's the most thing I think I've said so many is, I wish the kids would be as grateful as I was growing up. Because growing up, I would go on a lot of missionary trips. Of course, being raised in a pastor's home and stuff like that, I loved going on missionary trips. So I would go, be able to help people out who were poorer than I was and in a lot worse situations. And so I was very grateful for even like the littlest things that I had. And so I think that kind of carried on to me now is, I don't know, like I love spoiling the kids, but I have a hard time doing it like above and beyond.
Yeah, that's totally how I was.
You're so funny.
So, like, you growing up, like, you had to work a lot more for what you wanted to do. Like,
and I had to do a lot on my own.
Yeah.
I had to figure everything out by myself because my parents were busy. They were busy.
Busy working, going to school.
Yeah.
So you had to find rides to school, go to sports. And
buses, sports. I would always go with extended families or my coaches. Like, they were my family.
And it never really was, like, over and beyond on, like, Christmas or birthdays. It was just very
Yeah.
Normal.
Yeah, I would
Like-
get like that one major thing that I wanted. So
Mhm.
say it was like an iPod Nano at the time. It was like, yeah, that's it. Or like a bat for travel ball and stuff.
No way, that's totally how I was raised. So, not like that.
So I think that's, for me, parenting wise, I was more strict. I feel like I like more of that. I don't know. I just want the kids to always be grateful.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's something little, like, I wish they would always be grateful. So I think it drives me nuts when they're not grateful.
Yeah.
That's where I struggle.
Yeah, I think going back to the point of how we were raised, I was totally raised different. It was like present galore on Christmas. It's like anything I wanted. I could say, spoiled. I really, I'm going to come out and say I was very spoiled, and my parents were always there to give me what I needed or wanted. And I feel like I don't think I was ever ungrateful for it.
Yeah.
But it was the expectation of so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got a lot of stuff. But I was also very grateful. And I think we've talked about it, that's one thing that I've really always struggled with was, how did I get so much and be so grateful? And then sometimes we struggle with the kids and they get stuff. And sometimes not so grateful. And it's like,
it drives us nuts.
How? I got so much, but was so thankful for the stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But going back, I was totally raised differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So
and
it's like
so
you wanted to be able to.
When we got together, you're like, no, 1 or 2 things for the birthday, and I'm like, what?
Huh?
What? 1 or 2 things? You know? I was like, and I think we clashed a little bit on stuff like that, or disciplining because I was
a huge one.
I was very lenient with the kids, and I'm a very emotional person, and
a little.
And I think going through all the stuff, like the divorce and all that, like I felt like the kids were being affected, and
You had to make up.
I had to make up for what I was putting them through.
Yeah.
I felt like I was doing that to them, so I had to make up for that, and there wasn't a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
So.
And see, for me, I feel like I've always had such, like, even through high school till before I met you and before I started, like, actually getting into, like, my relationship with God and everything, going to church, I feel like a lot of it was, I was very selfish. I was a very selfish person. Like, I needed to have my nails done all the time. I needed to have the best makeup all the time. Like, very materialistic stuff to make me feel good about myself. So I didn't really think of the kids, which is horrible. And it definitely still gets to me. But I think that's why I tried doing as much as I could in that time to kind of make up for it. And that was a bad decision because I got into a little bit of debt, but
yeah, but I think
you try to make up for it.
Yeah, but I think it goes to show that we both had totally different parenting styles, and you can come together and still make it work. And it's getting to a point where you're starting to be the softer one, and I'm the more disciplinary, and
that came with marriage class.
Yes. Marriage class is a good thing.
Yes.
Check to see if there's one at your church. Not sponsored. But, where was I going with that?
Parenting. So parenting was probably one of our biggest struggles. I think once we kind of got on the same page with that, though, we've thrived.
Yeah, and the part of the parenting, too, was because I was more lenient. You felt at certain points that I cared more about the kids than I did you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think that was a big pain point for you.
But we've been through more than just that. I think a lot, too, had to do with, well, of course, before we even got married, the whole baby situation. So we ended up getting pregnant in 2017, and lost the baby without even knowing until we got our first ultrasound done, and found out that we got fetal demise. The baby's heartbeat stopped a little bit earlier, and that was a very, I think, hardship on our relationship together.
Yeah, I think it definitely put us both in a bad space in our mind.
Yeah.
And everything kind of trickled off of that.
Yeah. Because I think you were holding a lot of stuff in from that.
I've always held a lot of stuff in.
Hot mess.
I still struggle with that. I hold a lot of stuff in.
Yeah.
And I think
you're getting better.
Yeah, and I think it's because I found somebody to be able to feel comfortable doing that with.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's important when you're looking for somebody, is find somebody that you can really talk to and be on the same page with, and you guys can listen to each other and hear each other out, you know? And I think that's really helped me a lot, because I used to bottle stuff in all the time.
Yeah.
And I went through a point where I had a lot of anger issues because I held so much stuff in, and I feel now I hardly get angry, and it's because I'm not holding so much stuff in anymore. And
yeah.
If I have something that's bothering me, I'm able to come to you and talk to you about it, and we talk through it or work through it, and move on.
We'll figure it out. I definitely think communication was a huge loss that we didn't have too at the beginning of becoming the blended family, and now our communication is amazing. We figured the balance out.
Yeah, and I think it's always tough coming into a blended family because there's other parents.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest problems coming into a blended family is
figuring out how to balance not only your own marriage and couples relationships and your parenting styles or anything like that, but also dealing with that process of the transition period from household to household, because I know for my ex and I, our households are way different. We parent way different.
Yeah, and so do we.
But I think both of us have come to terms with just understanding you can't control the other parent's house. No matter what you try to do, or I don't know, anything. It's impossible. So I think a huge thing I know that I've struggled with a lot is being humble enough, but also that's helped me enough to be humble, is to really pray for the kids. Pray for the kids, pray for our household, pray for their households. And I feel like it's led us, the ex's households too. And just to really lean into that. And I feel like ever since learning to do that, it's been amazing. So, what kind of things do you think that we've, kind of almost benefited from?
I think the biggest thing that helped us was therapy.
Oh, yeah.
I think because we got to a really, really bad place. And I think once we started going to therapy, a Christian therapist too.
Yeah.
Because we had tried a therapist and it just didn't line up with our morals, and it just, it wasn't.
It was bad.
It was bad. We both weren't feeling it, and it didn't help.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to find a good therapist that has the same morals or same outlook on life, kind of.
Or beliefs.
Beliefs in a way.
Yeah.
So I think going to a therapist like that really helped us and guide us back into our marriage.
Communication. I think that's what it was, because I think after the baby, we just lost all communication. We didn't know how to communicate with each other. I think
because everyone always says communication, but it's every time I heard somebody say that, I'm like, what do you mean communication? We're talking and it's not working.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing coming to communication is not talking. It's listening.
Yeah, and understanding.
Yeah.
That's been huge for us.
But in order to understand, you have to be able to listen.
Yeah.
And I think communication is not about being heard, but it's about hearing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's been huge for us.
Yeah. And just trying to understand the other person's point of view, just sitting back and going, okay, how are they viewing this? How are they looking at this? So I think that's really been something that has helped us. But the therapist really guided us on different things we can do, techniques, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and kind of reflecting on a lot of, I think for me, that was mostly a turning point because she would always like refer books and stuff to me, and that's when I started getting into like reading, or we would go on date nights to Barnes and Nobles or something. And I think from benefiting from reading books now has really been beneficial to me to help me communicate with you better. And I don't know, just like cool things that I learned from the books. I'll sit there and he'll be driving, calling me, talking, and we'll just kind of talk about whatever I read that day.
Yeah.
So I think that's been something beneficial for myself.
Yeah, you've been reading a lot of books, and I think, and some of them are mom books, but I think there's a lot of takeaways to take away from them.
Yeah, because a lot of the books that I do read, I try and keep it within our beliefs and stuff, so it refers a lot back to the Bible a lot, and that helps guide me.
Yeah, and I'll leave in the description below, I will leave links to the books that she's read that have really helped us out, and hopefully they can help you guys out.
Where do you feel like we are at now in life? Especially being at like a blended family.
I think we're getting to a lot better place because it first had to start with us.
Oh yeah.
Your marriage has got to come first, and once you get that under control, everything else can
falls into place.
Fall into place because when our marriage wasn't coming first, it was a hot mess.
Oh yeah, because we were putting the kids first.
Kids first, family first, exes. I mean,
everything.
It was everything but our marriage, and I think the therapist, like we were talking about, really helped us with this.
And marriage class too.
Marriage class out at the church really put in perspective that your marriage has to come first before anything else, except for God.
Yeah, God first.
God first.
Then marriage.
Then marriage. Then the kids. Then family.
Yes.
And so on and so forth. But before kids, before family, the marriage comes first. And once we got the order correct, we started seeing things change. And things have gotten better with the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Things have been getting better with the family. And now things are getting better with the exes.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting to a place now where we have a lot of experiences that we can share with you guys. And we're going to do a lot more videos. And
getting kind of more into depth with some of those. Yeah.
And we got some special stuff in the works. But she told me I couldn't tell you guys yet. So you guys are going to have to stay tuned for that.
We'll get there.
We will get there. But there is some special stuff in the works. I can't say it yet. But I think it's led us to a place where we're able to share this stuff with people.
What we've learned,
gone through, and what it's like on the other side.
I feel like we are definitely in a better place now than we've ever been since, I don't know, I kind of feel like at the beginning of our relationship, of course you have that honeymoon phase that everybody talks about.
Well, the kids weren't involved, so it's easy.
Yeah.
Because we didn't bring the kids in right away.
Yeah. It was just us two, so we got to focus on each other. And then you bring all these kids in and different parenting and all that stuff, and it's just like...
Kids, and you got the other parents you're co-parenting with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do that again?
So you're just... Oh my god.
You snorted.
So we just had to, I guess you can say, be slapped in the right direction, but I feel like we are on a very great track and we've done awesome. And I'm proud of us.
Yeah, me too. And we have a lot more stuff in the works. We got upcoming episodes we're working on and other stuff.
So with that said, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
And once we hit those 100 subscribers, we will be giving away $100.
Free money.
Free money. But you're going to want to hit that bell because you're going to want to be notified when that video comes out when we do get to 100 subscribers. Because once we hit 100 subscribers, the very next video will be having the giveaway. And you're going to want to be one of the first ones to watch the video to get the money. So
Be one of them winner chicken dinners.
Be one of them winner chicken dinners. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at our_blended_life_777. With that said, we got a lot of videos coming your guys' way. A lot more hot topics coming your guys' way. Sizzling. So hot. And we will catch you guys on the next video. Bye.
Bye.